Gormagod Lasceann Corla. Minister, I really want to hugely welcome the indication you gave yesterday in the Seanad that there be no deportations allowed during the pandemic. So my question might seem a bit redundant, but I would ask you to reiterate exactly what is the intention of the Department in relation to those who have received letters. And I particularly would like to put emphasis on the 2 care workers that I've raised with you repeatedly in relation to what they have to do next. Basically, you have written back to me, fair play, you've given me written answers, but I'd like to know what is their next steps in terms of making an appeal directly to you, and what is the position of deportation.
Minister.
Just reassure the Deputy, I suppose, and repeat what I said yesterday, that my department has and will continue to take a pragmatic approach, but most importantly a compassionate approach in relation to immigration arrangements in the context of COVID-19. This approach to deportation orders will continue during the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic. A decision to suspend the issuing of negative international protection decisions during Level 5 restrictions has already been taken, and this remains in place, and this will continue under the International Protection Act 2015. We know a person receives a letter informing them of their negative international protection decision, informing them that they no longer have permission to remain in the state and that they're working any kind of an appeal, that they would provide all that information, but also any new information that may have come to light that they feel wasn't taken into account in the initial response.
Thank you, Minister. That's very helpful. One other thing that has just come to light before I came in here, I spoke to a couple of care workers who have deportation orders, and their panic now is that their work permit expires in the next couple of weeks. One's already expired, the other expires in the next couple of weeks. And in that situation, that doesn't help us, because it means 2 care workers who could be doing very useful and vital work during the pandemic are not able to, because they don't have work permits, but they can't apply to extend their work permit because of this order that they have, or this refusal of the leave to remain. So it's complex, and it's hard to know. For me, it's hard to know how to advise them, but I take it from what you've just said, and maybe you could come back on this, that they should make an appeal, reiterating and outlining all of the circumstances that they have faced and are facing, and the details of the basis of that appeal. And I take it from that that the Department will look favourably on it, particularly to people like care workers and indeed artists and people who make a contribution to our communities.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Deputy, we're out of time, so just a quick comment. No, you can come back.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to really welcome what you're saying here this morning, and I will make sure that those are followed up. But at the end of the day, the pandemic may subside in other countries, or it may spike here or subside here. And if that's the conditions under which they're allowed to remain, the orders are still like a sword of Damocles hanging over them, and that is a real tragedy and a pity. They're human beings that have a huge contribution to make to our society. And in the end of the day, I think that needs to be resolved outside of the question of the COVID-19 crisis, because we don't want to lose valuable workers, valuable people from our society and push them back into some place that they don't feel safe. And that's a wider philosophical and long-term question, but I think it is important that we take that into account, because if we're just relying on the conditions of the COVID-19 crisis for them to be allowed to remain, then for them it is still a huge stressful factor in their lives. Albeit very welcome that you're saying that very emphatically here this morning and yesterday.
Deputy, thank you.
We still have a problem for them in the long term.
Just a Minister to conclude. Sorry, Minister to conclude.